Welcome back. I want to know why it is the servants of God get smashed. I mean, because really, the other heroes don't. Gary Cooper in High Noon, John Wayne in True Grit, Sylvester Stallone and Rocky Balboa, Christian Bale as Batman, Bruce Willis and whatever. They win. But God's pals don't win. And they keep rolling the stone up the hill all these centuries in hope against hope that the bullies at the top won't roll it back down on us again. What's going on in this story? I don't know the answer to the why question, but I do know how to live in the knowledge of it, if that makes sense. I don't know why the agents of God's love bear our infirmities and carry our disease. I do not know why they are wounded for our transgressions and crushed for our iniquities. I do not know why their punishment makes us whole and their bruises heal us. But I do know how to live in the knowledge of this twisted truth. When I was in clinical pastoral education many years ago at New England Deaconess Hospital in Boston, I met a young man my own age with whom I had developed a easy rapport. He had severe diabetes and already in his late 20s was nearly blind, and he was experiencing other related health problems. On that particular stay in the hospital, he was there because he had been on the beach without shoes or sandals. He had no feeling in his feet because of the diabetes, neuropathy, I guess. And so unknowingly, he had walked all afternoon on sand that was hot enough to burn him. The bottoms of his feet had gotten scalded and then infected, and the infection had snowballed, and it was into all kinds of other health problems at that point. Well, what startled me at the time was this physiological totem. Pain is the prophet of our body. Pain is the prophet of our heart. Pain is the prophet of our prayers. Everything that matters runs the risk of causing pain. And I've thought about it, and I cannot think of one thing in life that I care deeply about that does not carry with it a significant risk of pain. Even more than that, all things that matter will in fact bring us pain sooner or later. All things. So avoiding or denying this fact brings with it the same result as the young man with the blistered feet, that is, injury and infection. If we are to be agents of God's love, we will run an even greater risk of pain than most people do. And so, if we haven't already, we had better become adept at incorporating and managing our pain. Now, the problem with pain, of course, is not that it exists or that we feel it, but that we so often get stuck in our pain, alone and isolated. And as I have quoted before, the author of whom I cannot quite actually remember, that the difference between pain and suffering is that suffering is pain endured in isolation. Suffering is pain endured in isolation. In other words, pain itself, while difficult and challenging, does not destroy life or love, but suffering in it, all alone and by ourselves, does. So here is the great truth that I know, and I know that you know too, though you may not have named it in exactly this way, to live in this world with the knowledge that the agents of God's love are not the winners, we must be armed with four things. A language with which we can talk about our pain. A few close companions who will listen and soothe us in our pain. A prophet who has gone this way before. And a community that will sing joyful songs of solidarity and share meals of hope, even when surrounded with cruelty. A language, a few close companions, a prophet, and a community. Now here is the sacred wisdom hiding in plain sight in this gospel narrative. It is hiding only because the institutionalism and nationalism of Christianity intentionally obscures it. Think about what our prophet Jesus did. Jesus confirmed that Pilate held the power of life and death, and he did it by willingly allowing himself to be killed. For anyone who was willing to see, Jesus showed the whole world how coercive authority responds to the agents of God's love. There was no ambiguity, no spin, only one possible interpretation of events. Coercive authority has only contempt for the agents of God's love and will crush them. Jesus could not have left us with a clearer model to live by in an economy and in a culture that is hostile to God. Jesus on the cross is an indelible tattoo upon anyone who is a steward of power. Are we Pontius Pilate, or are we agents of God's love? The question itself is full of pain, and it is painful to be members of a community that claim such a prophet as our own. Now, it's not something we need to walk around touting or holding up bloody crucifixes to make the point. That's just stupid. If we're going to be agents of God's love in an economy and culture that is hostile to God, we had better be strategic and clever in order to maximize our witness for as long as we can. Now, I don't often talk out loud about this truth of our sacred wisdom so blatantly, or at least not as much as I used to. But the lectionary is rubbing our face in it, and it would be negligent and cowardly for not to spell it out. This truth about pain and about our prophet lurks in the background of our lives all the time. And then it leaps forward like an angry vengeance when we least expect it. So we need to be able to speak about it and acknowledge it and not pretend too much that it's not there. Or we'll end up like that young man who couldn't recognize he was burning up. A language, a few close companions, a prophet, and a community. If we have those things, we'll get by. And with God's help, be the agents of God's love that we claim to be. Thank you for coming back. Peace be with you.